Take two. Nahau. Hey, Poso, Ryan Newiswan, Wiskosik, Anetski Wakian. Kunamanthe, Ryan and Denoese, Wisconsinik Nome. Had a cheat with Oneida here. Saguli, Ryan Youngets, Wisconsin, De Nagaga. Buju, Ryan Indigenous, Wiskusing, and Dununki. What's up, everybody? I set the bar low by jamming the computer earlier. So way to go, Alyssa, way to go, IT. I appreciate all that. I want to point out that I will do my best to scroll here without seeing it. But hey, everybody, I'm Ryan. I just introduced myself in the 4 languages I'm going to talk about today. The first being Menominee, then Mohican, Oneida, and Ojibwe. And they're all going to be what our presentation is going to be about for the next 25, 40 minutes. Is that what I was told? No, I'm kidding. All righty. We'll dive on in as Chimagwich, Tyler, for that excellent introduction, which is, of course, big thanks in Ojibwe. I'm going to privilege Menominee from here on out, so I'm going to attempt to only speak at you with that language. If you didn't hear, I'm a Mokaman or a non-native guy who they let me hang, though, for 20 years at CMN, which is pretty cool, and so glad to hang out here. And I do mean OG CMN, not official CMN. Don't let Muskogee Nation corner you and get into this debate. Colton and I will go back and forth every AHEC. Anyway, I got some partners up on the board that we worked with on this project, so they're not able to join us today. They couldn't find the hotel, oddly enough. I'm kidding. Tough crowd. All right, so let's say you enroll in the class with this guy, and I'm pretty tough to avoid. I've got a bunch of big fancy degrees. And so I teach in a bunch of different things, but this is going to hit you right on your syllabus. And so it says optional Indigenous language usage. As evidence of CMN's faculty is answering the call to be, quote, and this comes from an elder in the community, quote, conduits of language and culture. Your instructor will use some Indigenous language in classroom instruction, Canvas coursework. What up, Canvas? We all big fans in the room. I know some of you are, and I'm not making eye contact. Anyway, digital correspondence, and students who opt to complete these elective opportunities using the Indigenous language presented may earn additional points towards their final course grade. That's what you see. It's right on the first day. It doesn't matter if you're hanging with me in communication, history, theater, English. They let me do a lot, which is great. Magic 18, what up? American Indian College Fund paying for those 18 credits. I appreciate y'all so much. I owe you a lot. I'm going to be at the next 10 conferences. I'll see if we get to 1,000 people. I got a lot reciprocity to pay back here. All right, I wanted to say, so this is what it winds up looking like. So you may think, hey man, is this Mokaman or non-native guy going to be teaching me language? And I will with the power of the internet. And so I don't teach language, I teach about it. And so what we did is we created this language video series. And then I hit play, and then I reinforce the language. And so if the volume works, I'm going to play the first one for you. So a Menominee, Chaitnapata, Sachakan, Napakanakut. Let's take a look at the board. I'm going to hit play. You're a student in my class. Don't worry, there'll be no standardized assessments. There we go. Appreciate that. I was going to phone a friend. I want to make it bigger, but I'm scared.
Brave. We're Indigenous.
It's as loud as it's letting me make it. I'll sing along if it doesn't get louder. That's it. So we play that twice in the class. I'm going to attempt, is escape going to get, oh, it did. I want to be clear, all my screen says is Zoom. I play that on the first day of class when we come back from the break. Most of our classes are 3 hours long. I play it twice at them, and then I do this. We have 15 weeks, so we play each one 4 times in the classroom. And so that's it. And then I wind up reinforcing it. So as you may have heard in the beginning, I have a little bit longer introduction to Menominee if some of the elders I'm trying to impress. But the one that I do in the classroom and the one that I did for y'all comes solely from the video. What's really great about it is if a student wants to then introduce themselves in their language wherever they go, say to a conference in the community, and they didn't have someone who could teach them, this is a way for them to access it using Menominee U, which is a group within the community. They're a not-for-profit that is dedicated to normalizing language use throughout the community. So not revitalizing, normalizing. And so some people think they go hand in hand, and I agree, but that's an important word to choose. So some of my friends are over there, and I went and talked to them and said, hey, I want 8 videos. And I've been studying the language just a little bit, and I realized the value of it. So I spent my midlife crisis earning a doctorate, like most of us have pondered, right? And along those lines, when I went back, they said that you need to get a secondary language. And I was like, oh man, French was in the 90s. That was a long time ago, and I wasn't very good at it. And luckily, we had a Algonquian specialist at UW-Milwaukee where I wound up going. And although they didn't have Menominee classes, they were like, well, if you take some Menominee language in the community, and I took a whole bunch of it, and then you can test out of it based on passing the classes and some people vouching for you. And again, I got a lot of reciprocity to pay back here, but my whole point in all this is as I started studying it, I started to realize things like the place where I produce theater every summer with about 100 people is the Menominee call it Skinemi-Atuik, which translates to, I don't know why I'm staying by this mic, I don't have to. Anyway, where they habitually dance. I apologize, Bobby can't see me. Bobby, I'm gonna get off this platform. How's it going? Hey. Skinemi-Atuik, where they habitually dance. And I started thinking about the word habitually, and it's one word, right? Rather than the woodland bowl, which is what we call it in English. And this idea of a habitual space that only the language captures made me started to think about the value and the power of really learning a language as someone from outside the community to really talk about what it is that we wind up doing. And I started thinking the only reason that I really started to understand why I should be learning a language is because the school, UW-Milwaukee, said, if you want that degree, you need to pass this. And so I started thinking, what's a way we can get it into every classroom? And that's really what I'm trying to say to all y'all. I don't know how y'all are going to do it or if you want to do it. But by the way, these videos are free and on the internet. And again, my mom, big thumbs up. She likes them. But what I'm trying to say to you all is the goal is just to make it accessible and part of it. And if you take a class with me, and again, I'm hard to avoid, if you want any extra credit, your only option is language, period. And as much as I would like to send people to other things, it's so, I feel very important to me. And so they're tied in. And again, person can watch these hundreds, thousands, whatever amount of time, to be clear, that it hasn't happened. But the whole point is they play these videos. And I know what you're thinking. Hopefully this guy's an academic. And so anyway, I got some data rolling out, but I need to thank those who deserve to be blamed. And so Richard Ashkishkam was then with Menominee U. We stole him for some draft picks. He's now our registrar at CMN. So we owe them a couple of people, but we got some good graduates, so I think it'll work out. And then Brock Schreiber is over at Speak Mahican, again, 2 not-for-profits. And we brainstormed, drafted, came up with these phrases. So the first one you saw is a greeting. The second will be some basic conversations that you might hear over a Zoom. Can you hear me? Can you see me? And then as it goes on, you start to learn different phrases like look at the writing board, which would be something, oxikana, asachikanatic, pick up your writing stick, and things that you just might say in the classroom. And I always translate them to English so that no one feels that they're on the outside. But the word for it's your turn is kinaasit. And I had one student say, I truly thought someone in the room's name was kinaasit because you say it so much. But in my defense, I was like, kinaasit, your turn. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess in their defense, not mine. But it gets to the point where as the semester goes on, that they wind up using it as well. And to be clear, all I'm doing is reinforcing what's in the video. So we started piloting in Menominee. You already heard that. So we have words and phrases. And again, there's 8 videos. So if you cannot wait, there's 7 more. I'd be happy to share that link later. I'm hoping you'll click on them if you're interested. Language teachers, we partner with, reinforce in the classroom the instructor who played them during class. I know what you're thinking. If I team taught it, did we do it? Yep. And then once the other people came along with me, they started to use them as well. I know some of my colleagues use some of the videos individually. And so, which is really great. Because again, you don't need to have any background in language to hit play on a video. So we start with self-introductions, meeting virtually, go through discussion prompts. I summarized a lot of this already. But we piloted in 2023 and released to the public that following fall. And what I wanted to point out is in addition to hearing and seeing, I should really just read my own presentation, right? The extra credit. But here's what they looked like. I did pre and post surveys. Like, do you think this is a good idea? I've had a lot of bad ideas. Maybe this is one of them. And those of you in the room, I hope you're all with me still. But for my students, so I did have one person say in one of my surveys, I wish we would talk more about theater. And I was like, awesome, let's hang. But anyway, vocabulary quizzes, they're optional during the midterm and final exam. They can take them as many times as they want. In Canvas, it keeps their highest score. If people are interested, they usually did very well on it. The survey was just truly, what do you think? Should we be doing this? And one thing I forgot to mention is we now have 4 languages. The class votes. So what do you want to do? Is this going to be an Ojibwe room? Is this going to be an Oneida? Is it going to be Mahican or Menominee? And so they pick whichever one they would like. And so we take it from there. And so every once in a while, I'll weigh in. Like this past fall, I had someone who teaches language classes. Like, we're not doing Menominee in here just because it's a little too easy for y'all. But it's a chance to use it on a course discipline-related assignment. So I wanted to give you one example of that. So I teach public speaking. I don't know if that's obvious at this point. Maybe you're like, oh man, I feel bad for them. But optional extra credit is to do, there's 8 ways to capture your audience attention. 7 of them are according to every textbook, and the 8th, as you know, is a self-introduction. It's often in the language. I argue it can be in English or Spanish. But I always love when I go into a room of Indigenous people, and whether they're speaking their language or not, they usually say their name, even though my good buddy Tyler introduced me already. So, but I often see that. I think that's as Diane Glancy, as Cherokee says, one of those parts of culture that does not melt in the melting pot. So self-introduction is one of the things that I tell them that they could use in a Menominee which is the Menominee language, in oral comm. So they're required to do the following, and they can add if they would like. But this is it, and I know what you're thinking. That's what he said earlier. So when I got on up here, I did it, and so I will start classes with it. And even better, you listen to my buddy named Mo in the video over and over and over again until you have it committed to memory, if you want to. And if you don't want to, that's fine. I always say we do it right after the break. So if you want to take a longer break, do some doom scrolling. No, uplifting scrolling, right? We don't doom scroll. Then you can do that. Enjoy a little bit longer break. But if not, know that I'm going to give Nemo a whole 3 minutes when we come back from break. And if you want to take part in it, great. And if you don't, great. I just hope you're having a good day. But the whole point here is they can say those things in their language and get some extra credit. And not only that, it's reinforcing the videos. And then sometimes those students say they went to a conference and they can do that. And so I did want to point out, I give them a bunch of options throughout the semester. There's 6 formal presentations, and they don't have to do it in the first 2. So it's the last 4. So at that point, they've heard the video as much as they would like. So we met with some success. So we wound up moving on, and I scooped myself by saying we have more. And although I am going to play some more videos for y'all, I should say video for you all. I don't know that spend all of our time going through and watching each one, but the script is the same. So this would be Speak Mohican. And so as you can see here, I've got one of my favorite people in the world, Maqueno, who's a Mohican elder, and he does the exact same script. And so if you were to take grant writing with me, I know I teach everything. They haven't got me in STEM yet. I tried. They pointed out that I couldn't spell it, so they weren't going to let me. The point is my good buddy here, Najuth, his friend in Mohican, will teach them all the same exact phrase. So if they're a Mohican student, especially someone will say, hey, can you send me the video? I got to do an introduction at a conference, which I think is really a cool thing to do. And to be clear, and I cannot stress this enough, I'm trying to get you all to sign on up. There's a timeshare pitch coming up. I'm kidding. But all I do is hit play. And so to me, I think when you've got your language teachers in the community, especially if they'll let them be recorded, what a power that is. So I don't know how many leaders are in the room. Dr. Asawi Owasa is in the room from our school, which is what the faculty calls our president, but 100% behind the project, at least when I'm speaking for him. And so that really helps, of course, as it ties to our mission. Anyway, since fall of 2023, and I haven't added the new year in, but I had 90 students who opted into being involved. I don't have the amount of people who didn't opt to be involved, or some people would say after the survey closed, hey, can I still take it, right? We've all had that. But they're anonymous, so I just take the data. And so as I mentioned, I wanted to show you a little bit of data, but a majority of the follows. 67% stated they watch them both during and outside of classes, which is pretty great, especially again, if you sign up for theater history, right? 75.5% say they participated both to learn some extra credit and to learn some language. It's really fun to me when it's like, 10, 15% will just say they want to learn language. They weren't interested in the extra credit points. But I'm only giving you the top answers. If you'd like the data, I would be happy to share that with you. But I wanted to point out too, as I go through that 64.4, these are the exit surveys, stated that they would use the language outside of the classroom. So I might see them out at the Walmart in the community and might give them a poso and they'll shout back, right? Or Ta Espamatsian, how you living, right? I could shout that out in Walmart and my students would duck behind the Cheerios. Either way, 63.3 said they should be in every single class at CMN, and of course, I thought that would be interesting as well. But this is the one that surprised me the most. This was the highest survey response, and I think if we were to really dive into the data and maybe look at enrollment, maybe we would see, right? But 73.3 said they would be interested in partaking in a similar series in a different language, which is really interesting to me. That was the majority answer. So some people might say, well, would Menominee want to learn Mahican or be an ally for Ojibwe or Oneida? And the data shows that, yeah, they would, and which I think is awesome. So in the summer 2024, with the Help Advancement Office, we got some funding beyond that. And this is one of the videos I'm going to play. McGiz isn't here. Those of you who know him, so I gotta play him for you. I'll let him know that he got to speak in the space anyway. But we partnered with Dr. Rosa King, who's an Oneida language instructor, and then McGizzy, who is, his Chimokama name is Dr. Michael Sullivan. He's over at LCOOU. I don't know if they're in the room or not, but if they are, I will deny everything I say about him. We launched the Oneida series, and we had the Ojibwe in the coming spring 2025. So I have Oneida right here, and again, same script. But what I wanted to point out too is some of the student feedback before I play you the Ojibwe one. But these are just, hey, anything that you think that we all should know. And so this is what students have, complete transcript. And what I wanted to point out was I clipped 3 or 4 in a row. I don't remember the exact number. That's why I don't teach STEM. But I cut them in a row, so I didn't just cherry pick. These were just a bunch in a row. But I think all CMN classes should use, I'm really trying to get that branding, Colton. I apologize. I'm going to CMN, think of it now. Anyway, because it could be life-changing. It could inspire someone to want to learn more, even if it's learning some basics and using them daily. Menominee language will still be on the rise, and awareness will be as well. And any language is good. P.S. I also think they should consider sharing these in all classrooms, the reservation. And so Christina Primary, Menominee Tribal School, high school, all of them. Even the TVs in the waiting rooms and the offices should share them on bulletin boards. Like, all right. Love the opportunity to earn extra credit while also learning my language. I liked how we were able to view and watch the videos every week, or we met weekly. And I really enjoyed the videos, even though I'm an immersion teacher. Some of the words are new to me. Every day with the languages is something new, comparing old generations new, and it will only change, but change for the better. So I think you want to hear McGiz, don't you? So let's hear some Ojibwe Moen. I know there's some Shinabs in the room, so take it away, my friends. Again, two tribal colleges partnering together, which is obviously how it should be, right? So I wanted to point out too, if you wanted to play along, I kind of wanted to just click a different way, but I have a shortcut in case the internet and I weren't getting along. So if you wanted to, you could go to CMN's homepage, or it's menominee.edu. Uh, the other CMN has trademarked the CMN edu. But we're in litigation. We thumb wrestle over it every time. All right, I'll stop now. You click on the hamburger over here. That's what it's called. Doesn't that just make you happy? Anyway, under community and culture, you see the language videos. And you click on that, and it'll bring me right to the page I'm on. But as you scroll down in here, and we'll go past this, you will see that there are all of these language videos. We did another partnership, but I know I didn't get a limited time here, but we added in ones about tending a garden, but you can see there's 8 videos on it in each. And I just want to, say I got Ojibwe in front of me. So I'll show you what it looks like in here. We're not going to play it, but if you scroll down here, we even, we wanted to feed the AI robots with the translate. I'm kidding. But in case you want to drop one into your email, right? So you can just scan it and then put it right on in there. So we wanted to make it as accessible as possible. And so you can see that we have these languages. Hopefully you find them of value or inspiration. I wanted to play one more video for y'all, and but this one's in English. I always am real cognizant as a non-native person that I don't want to be the only one in speaking in a space telling you how cool things are. So this is I do speak in this video. I did watch it, I promise. But you get to hear a little bit from Masawi Oasa, our president, as well as you get to hear from all the language teachers as to why they were going to be involved in it. So this will be one of the last things I say, unless I remember I should have said something else. So I'm going to hit play, and you can hear the language teachers encouraging y'all. And this is only when they let me speak at conferences. Try to make you laugh a little. We can't end on that. So let's do some outtakes. All right, you talked me into it. I was on the fence. Well, I didn't contend anymore. I think I said all y'all, but in it. Oh, sure. Look at this seat. I'm gonna get comfortable. I'll let
Thank
you
you,
do your
Ryan.
thing.
One of the reasons that I was inspired to learn my language was coming to conferences like this and hearing people introduce themselves. Now I could do it in both Ojibwe and Michif. So now we have about 15 minutes for questions and discussion. So please raise your hand if you have a question for both Elisa or Ryan or either or. Open floor for questions. Okay? Alrighty. Ryan, I think he's asking you if there's any sources for the language. He wants to incorporate some words in his chemistry classes and then also some of the research is doing. So I think the question was, where are the resources for that?
So I know you said United Tribes, but what nations specifically? All of them. So yeah, I mean, the Ojibwe have that Ojibwe People's Dictionary, which is excellent. So you can hear the 4 different types of speakers. But one thing I want to say to y'all, and it's going to be tangential, but maybe I'll come back around. So the Miami people of Ohio, they had a completely it was no longer spoken language, but they do individual grants for someone who wants to work within the language so that they can bring it back and then and have those spoken. So they invest in a language teacher. So if you have a language that you aren't able to find a resource for, but to find individually, I think you'd have to go to obviously individual language teachers in that community. But I do think keep looking, because I would start, Ojibwe is one of the easiest ones to find things on. But I also want to say, like, Asachakanatik is just pick up, and I just think, or I'm sorry, Sachnak, right? Aksikana is pick up. But those sorts of things will be, it might not be specifically chemistry related, but I think those can really go a long way to be an ally. And then especially, I think, because so much of the discipline, like if I teach rhetoric, this is a noisy table, it would be more, I think, those transitional rather than the words in it. English is a bully language, right? It doesn't translate very well. And so, yeah, I don't know if I helped, but I definitely rambled for a while. So, and you're nodding, so I appreciate that. So, Adam, for your question.
Help step up to that one.
Please.
With our languages all being different, I mean, I'm from the West Coast and all of our languages, my own specific tribe, Tuatuk, right? At one point they had said was a dead language, but they hadn't gone to their elders. They hadn't gone to the community. They hadn't gone to certain places and said, hey, do you still speak? Why don't you speak, right? So it's really important to, like in my slide, is guide the student back home and remind them where their home is. And when we're talking about things in like STEM, right, like in chemistry and biology, those don't translate at all. Like nothing crosses over. Like everything I've gone through, I always want to say life, right? When I'm teaching class and I'm teaching environmental science and I'm taking the students outside, I'm like, "Ugh, payats, right? Like this is a cedar tree. And they're like, well, how do I say this in, the scientific name? I'm like, well, the scientific name, right? Like it doesn't translate over. So when we're teaching science, we have to remember that too, right? Is sometimes they don't translate over nicely. And other times we can just use what's in front of us and to just keep guiding the students right back to where's home? Who do you consider home? Who's your community? And sometimes it may not be, their specific tribe that they're enrolled to. Maybe their community, maybe their home is the next tribe over.
I would just recommend asking the people on campus. I've worked with Dr. Danny Lukey to translate for math, and then I've worked with Mike Selberg, and we came up with words for cybersecurity. So you just got to speak to your language speakers on campus or find some community members. Any more questions? Yes.
If somewhere experiment, do you want the data from that, is that helpful to you at all, or are you pretty much done and I'm not?
So I will never be done with it. My goal is to make it so big that I step back and other people step up in a good way who are much, I'm a beginner with a capital B, but I would love data. I just think it reinforces. And to be clear, this came out of like conversations. It wasn't, with the whole plan. So I think that what works about it will work in every community. And I would love it. I would love to see the data. And I think not only that, I think and I can't stress this enough to everyone in the room, we got to share stuff. The grants are getting smaller, right? They're cutting it. But so you see what we're doing, do it with your own language, then send data. We'll find ways to collaborate in the best way. It can't be, we're going to hold it because I think that's how we move forward together, right? All right. I rambled.
Do you have any pushbacks from the newer,
Oh, I'm sorry. Tyler's telling me I got to repeat the questions, but was asked if there's pushback from the younger or the older generations. And so I want to crack a joke and say, I'm just a non-native guy trying my best. But no, one of the things that I find, and I'm very fortunate, I sit in a lot of talking circles, is I haven't met any language speaker who's ever pushed back. And if there's someone in the room, just email me. You don't need to confront me in the hallway, but I've never confronted that. Yeah.
how about the changing of the language, the words, I guess? Because the older generations, like myself and older, our language is a little different because slang and stuff.
Sure.
They're different, and there's not really a pushback, but there really is. The older ones go, nah, that ain't what they're saying is what they're saying. Well, like when you get to the younger generation, what I have learned is that you gotta come up with new words for the new technology and the new things that are.
Mhm.
So we kind of go back and forth and help each other, but then again, sometimes the older generation will kind of shy away from those younger words because they're not right. It's just a different dialect as the years progress.
So I can't answer, but so the question again, it was elaborating on the difference in the older and the younger generation. But I was in a Mohican language Zoom meeting, and one of the things, and so I'm telling you a story and not answering your question, but hopefully there's an answer in it. There is a immersion kid whose first language is Mohican. And so what they do is they go, what is the word for this? Or what would you say? And then he will create a word and they'll sit back and go, that's actually pretty good for the things like computer or things like that. So I always say, who cares what I think in a good way? But I think that as long as the conversation's happening and what I've seen, it seems to be good. And I'm usually on mute in the meeting, so I'm that guy. But but in the best way, because they, again, it's like, how can I help? How can I be here? Why I keep getting invited, so I'll keep coming. But I think those things are good problems. The debate over which version, whether it's match or catch Wywanan, depending on like which one is for big. Like I love those debates to listen to because I just think, man, this is normalizing, right? But I don't know if I helped at all. But I definitely filled some time, and Tyler hasn't pushed me off the stage yet. So let me know if he's coming.
We have a lot of cross differences over on the West Coast with, elders having a specific way of how they speak language and younger generations coming up and wanting to learn. And because I always use the euphemism that our ancestors put these things in the boxes. My family put them in a box. My great grandma put it in a box and she put it all away. And my dad made sure it was locked, right? And he gave me little bits and pieces. You may have this, you may have that, but you can't have the whole box. And then when he passed and gave me the box, right? Metaphorically, right? He gave me the box. I sat there and went, here you go to my kids, right? I'm like, you can have it all. And then I go to my students, I'm like, you can have it all, right? And then I remind my students, remember to talk to your elders. Just because I gave you all of mine doesn't mean they're going to share all of yours because of all these things that have happened. And that's that cautious point. And that's a cautious point with our elders too, is that they want what's right and they want our children protected.
Some of our students here, right? And so some of our students, when they're learning Dakota, my understanding is the dialects are only different between Dakota, but even within families. And so a frustration that our students have is that they're corrected on the pronunciation kind of constantly in different schools. And I think they understand why, but then they'll just kind of retreat. So for someone who's learning another language, what's a way to overcome that so that they don't just kind of
I think that's so for when a student comes in and they have, the dialect problem of not just one dialect, like Lushootseed has northern southern dialect, right? But then there's the family dialect, right? So the way I address that one, right, is like I use my family as an example. My dad, right? I remember going to him one day and saying, I'm getting ready to teach this class, Dad. How do I say cow? Is it queest or quaist? Right? Because that I can go either direction. And he looked at me and he goes, I don't know. I don't remember. So what if I give you some French fries? What if I get you McDonald's French fries? I know you like those. And well, let's go have some French fries. We're sitting there and he's eating. He goes, well, my grandma used to say queest. He goes, when I go to my family over here, they say quaist. He goes, where are you going to be teaching at? Are you teaching here at home? Or are you teaching over here? And I went, well, does it really make a difference? I mean, we're cross-connected anyway. And he's like, it does, because each of our families have a different way of saying. And so even when I'm teaching cow, queest, I say queest and I say quaist. And I look and say, your family may have a different form. And that is 100% okay. It's up to you to choose which one you use for your family.
question?
I want to throw one sentence out there, and I hope you don't mind. But the question was if something's mispronounced. My favorite language teacher, and he's got a bunch of disciples, but says he'd rather hear it wrong in Menominee than right in English. And I think that's the right thing. And again, I'm not a language teacher. I play videos and then say what I hear. But Tyler says there's one more question before. Oh.
I just have a comment. My comment is I also teach Lakota language at SGU, and I'm a first language speaker. I didn't, pick up English until I was in fifth grade or something. But I want everybody to know, like, that teaching our first language, listening to others talk, especially about the subject of who's right or wrong. I just want everybody I want to remind everybody that, like, especially if you have children, if your children are speaking English to you, you can understand what your children are saying, even if they're mispronouncing English, right? I also want you to know that as a Lakota speaker and teacher, when I hear my students speak Lakota for the first time, I can understand, all of us fluent speakers can understand any of you trying to speak our Lakota language, even if you're wrong. Because the proof is, if I have children, I raise my own children, and I can understand my children when others couldn't. So I want everybody in here to know that when you learn a new language, no matter who you are, there's always room that somebody's gonna understand you, even if you think that you're saying it wrong.
Mhm.
So that's my comment.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're at the end of this session. Thank you, everyone, for your questions, and thank you both for your presentations today. If you have any further questions for them, you can join their roundtable tomorrow afternoon. We're now going to take a 15-minute break, and we'll begin our first breakout session in about 15 minutes. We're going to start promptly at 11 a.m. Thank you.